This is Carl Ackerman, host of Journeys of the Mind, which is part of that wonderful organization called ThinkTech Hawaii, run by that supermensch, Jay Fidel. Today, we have such great pleasure, both myself and the audience, in welcoming Kelvin Ro, who runs that wonderful place called Diamond Head Grill on Monsarrat. And if you have never been there, you have missed one of the great five-star restaurants in Honolulu, Hawaii. Welcome, Kelvin.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. And so tell us, just briefly, how did you get into all of this? Because, you have such a successful enterprise. And of course, I know that this just doesn't happen. You must have a wonderful history to share. Diamond Head Grill did not just appear on Montserrat by magic. There was probably a lot of work put into it, but we're interested in hearing a little bit about your personal journey to get there, to get to the place that you're at now. So I'm going to be quiet now and let you talk about your journey for a while.
Thank you for having me. I was one of those who had an early passion hobby, and I kind of knew my path, my journey early. And so I remember going to Boy Scouts in elementary school and getting my cooking badge, and I loved it. I used to help my mom cook dinner at home at third grade because she was a working mother, and um, I got extra allowance for doing extra chores. So it started back then, and then I went through high school and college. I was the one who was always cooking out for the friends and all that, and camping, lots of camping and cooking outdoors, grilling, marinating of the meats and the kalbi. My parents are Chinese Korean, so my Korean side was always grilling on charcoal, the bulgogi and the kalbi and all that. And it was just something you go to the beach and you smell that and you're like, whoa. you know? And so I didn't go to culinary school because I felt that I already knew how to cook. I was kind of full of myself at that point, I guess. And Leeward Community College was the in thing at the time, or the KCC program at Pensacola. And my friends were going there, and I'm like, no, no. I went to business college instead. And all through college, I was helping my cousin Glenn Chu and Kale at Kale's restaurant learn the business. And I, you know, anytime you have interest in something, it comes naturally when you want to learn. You just gravitate towards stuff in life and follow it. And I felt that I really had a calling in that field. So I opened right out of college, instead of go get a job with my business degree, I opened a catering company. And then during that time, I was working with Glenn Chu, who's my cousin, who had Indigo downtown. And before that was Haji Baba, the Moroccan restaurant in Kahala. And I helped him with all his high-end catering. He had a very exclusive catering company back in the days where all the corporate was doing those big parties in Hawaii. And I got to experience all that. And so right out of college, I opened my first restaurant on the Big Island. And it was a little thing with a few partners, Lehua's Bay City Bar and Grill. That was back in 85 or 87. Then my cousin Glenn tells me he wants to give up Haji Baba if I want to take over that space in Kahala, where Kapahali is now, next to the olive tree. And I went for it. And that was a 5-year stint. And I loved it, but it didn't love me. Fine dining, you never make money. So I started to mentor students after that. I was supposed to actually open the Willows with the Weinberg Foundation, but it didn't come through. So I closed my restaurant to open the Willows, and it didn't come through. So I went to the university at KCC and my alma mater, Waipahu High School. They were calling me to do lectures on to inspire the kids and whatnot. So that's what I did. And at the time, I was at the university for 20 years at the culinary program to build the new campus up there at Diamond Head, the Culinary Institute. And I found myself going to that drive-in Burgerland on Campbell Avenue and Monsarrat, and I became friends with the owner. And one day I saw the sign on the wall. It said for lease, and I'm thinking, my friend didn't tell me. I'm trying to help him revitalize his 60-year-old restaurant, you know, and so I thought about it. I was like, oh, I want to try to do that, you know. So that was in 1999, 2000. Or I started at the university at 2000. So I opened the market about a year or two later. And it's been 23 years since. And now we have a farm even, and we're like doing total farm to table integration. And I'm teaching students on the farm, and we're teaching business practices of farm to table and or cooking and all that. And I was very lucky to recently get a executive chef partner, my good friend Jason Peel of Namikaze. And I'm thrilled because we're going to do parties upstairs of my store, events, private events, and maybe some. We want to do more student-driven activities at the farm. We soleils and they come for lunch. They learn how to cook the arugula pesto or make pizza or whatever it is, and that I'm following my passion on that one. I don't need it for the money. I really want to help the next generation get ahead because it's tough out there now, and the students, they feel entitled and they don't know the old work ethic when it used to be salary and you come in on your day off because that's what you do. It's not like, oh, cannot work Saturday, Sunday, and at night. And it's like, what? The days we need the most help. And of course, the drugs and the homelessness and all the cost of living in Hawaii. And I feel bad for that generation. So I want to help them get ahead. It's not get ahead quicker. It's more like, giving them an edge. And so that's what I hope to do on my, retirement maybe, but I'm a little too young to retire. So we'll see. I still have a lot of productive years. Um, Long story short, we opened the bakery we opened the market first. So it's Diamond Head Market. It gets confused with other names, Diamond Head and all that. But we do have a pretty successful bakery also. And it probably does better than the grill. Probably does better than the grill. We have some signature items. We have people who come all the time. As soon as they come off the plane, they come and get, our signature things. And that to me is more successful than the financial success because it's becoming like a service to the community than me trying to make money. But at the same time, I'm making money, making people happy, making people cure them. I try to do healthy food in the grill. We do brown rice and we do green salad. If you want mac salad, you got to pay extra. It's like, I don't tell people that concept, but that is really what it is. We do grilled concept because we don't do deep frying and sauteing in oil and all that. We do grill because it's healthier, because it's, to me, more flavorful. You're marinating the meat and then you're grilling it with that extra level of flavor, right? The grilled. It's always better to eat a grilled hamburger than a fried hamburger, or whatever. That's my personal, everything I do, it's my own personal taste. And if my customers like the way I like my stuff, they'll come back. So it's like a ballot box, right? My items, whatever is real popular, I have to keep doing it. The stuff that don't sell, I take off and make room for something else.
I so enjoyed your story because we had overlap. With Glenn Chu, his daughter Lacey was one of my daughter's best friends. And so
Oh,
that was wonderful. So I remember Indigo, and I remember going to the Willows with Galen Wong from the Weinberg Foundation because I knew they were setting this up. And I was often at Waipahu High School. I may have seen you there because I was recruiting students for my POYO program at Punahou School. So this is a wonderful overlap. But I want to go back to your food. And so, how do you grill that chicken? And how do you make the meat? Previously for our audience, I should let them know I was talking to Kelvin Ro about his mushroom burger. And I was also talking about the teriyaki chicken, which my wife just loves. She can't get enough of that. And she goes in and she orders teriyaki chicken with all salad. And it's such a healthy meal. So I'm wondering how you make that chicken so wonderful. And the mushroom burger comes with a huge mushroom. There's no bun. It's just a burger, and then you get salad and rice. I always like my white rice. I'm not healthy in that area, but I have to have my white rice. You can tell by looking at me, I love my white rice. So, but anyway, so how do you get that such flavor in your meals?
you asking me for my secrets?
Well, no, I mean, if you have secrets, don't share them. But I mean,
No, 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 no. I'm a culinary instructor.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I help other businesses succeed. I help other restaurants. I help my friends in the business. I help, to me, you can look up anything in the internet now. It's not like years ago where the chefs are all, no, it's my secret recipe. It's like, oh, you're gonna get me. And then they die and all the information goes. And I don't want to be one of those. So it's by trial and error and pure personal instinct and inkling that I like my teriyaki to taste a certain way because everybody in Hawaii makes teriyaki. Why do we sell it like so much of it and others closing? Everybody sells teriyaki chicken, right? So there is there is a lot of care and consideration into everything we do. Although we don't tell people, we don't, it's just the way we do it. And we've been doing it for 20 some odd years. And people like that consistency that they come back, oh, it's junk this day, it's not good that day, and etc. So for instance, I've been cooking kalbi since elementary high school with my friends outside, so I had to develop a personal recipe for that. And what it is you need to marinate it enough that the sauce will penetrate into the middle of the meat. But usually it takes so long that the soy starts to penetrate and it becomes too salty because the soy is so concentrated. So there's several ways we deal with that. You can add more water, more sugar and water, and marinate it a little longer. But we also put natural meat tenderizers in the meat. So there's grated onion, or people put Korean pear or papaya, whatever. Um, it's not a secret, but that's what I do. I guess it is a secret because everybody's asking me for that recipe. Now with Jason, I'm going to do the sauces. I tell you right now. Everybody wants our house dressing, you know. Everybody wants our sauces. So I'm like, oh, who has time? But now, thank you, Lord. Whatever.
Where do you get the mushrooms for your mushroom burgers? Because it's good eating the meat, and the meat is really tasty. In fact, you know, I often go to, well, not often, but irregularly go to W&M also for lunch, and that's because of the sauce that W&M has. But it's not the meat per se, even though the meat is good there. But the meat that I eat from you, I eat without putting anything on it
Well,
because it's so good.
we hand make those thousands of burgers every week by hand with the mix. It's not a frozen patty. It's not pre-formed like other places, right? We put the old-fashioned way. We put the onions and the breadcrumbs, the ingredients in the burger mix, and then we hand form every one. And it's like a lot. We have, because we do loco mocos, we do terry burgers, we do mushroom burgers, we do hamburgers and cheeseburgers. So we're kind of well known for the burgers now, but people appreciate the old fashioned way and on the grill, right? So the way I teach everybody, my students is you need to find a niche. You need to do something that is separates you from other people and creates a widget, so to speak, something that is unique to you that you can market and people will come to you and then maybe they'll try your other stuff, but we're lucky because we have like 5 things in the grill, 10 things in the market, and another 10 things in the bakery, signature items. So people come for those single things. And then by the time you add it up, they're like, oh, it starts adding up. One guy comes for this and that. But the terry chicken, similarly, we have to soak it maybe up to 3 days. But after the 2 or so day, the soy extracts the blood from the chicken and the sauce gets all bloody, right? With you marinate chicken. So we dump the sauce out and we put new sauce. And maybe you can dilute it a little because it's already kind of marinated. But if you must know the secret, yes, that's what we do. Tell your wife.
I will tell my wife if I can remember. We'll have this show so I can show her the show. So because everyone in my love it.
Our sugar content is on the sweeter side because you get teriyaki with salty side. I go the hilo version. Hilo, everything is sweet, but that's what people want in that, I find. And so teriyaki is on the sweet side.
Do you get your mushrooms from the farm that because you have?
No, we don't right now, but that's a dream, right? Grow blueberries for the scones, lemon for the lemon crunch, and mushrooms for my burger, right? But no, we get it from Mushroom Hawaii. We've been using them for 20 years. I used to use them at my last restaurant, Kahala Moon. The mushroom was actually my signature item at Kahala Moon, and that was a fine dining restaurant. So you're eating fine dining at that little window because it's a butter sauce, and no drive-in is going to do a beurre blanc.
Okay, so I have to throw a wrench in here a little bit because I wanted to ask you a question, and I don't mean to be impolite when I ask you this, but because I have a friend that Jay Fidel and I interviewed about a year ago or 2 years ago, and she's a vegetarian. So her name is Jennifer McNabb. She's a great Renaissance historian. But the point is, if I wanted to get something for Jen, for example, from Diamond Head Grill, could she come also as a vegetarian?
Oh yeah. And we do specials every day. And sometimes we make vegetarian specials. And the carnivores take it all. And then we don't have for the vegetarians. I'm like, wait, it's sold out, whatever it may be. But yes, we do.
Okay. And here you mentioned something that is really a signature of your whole, I wouldn't call it just a restaurant, it's an establishment because you have a store. I would go from New York City to Honolulu just to get one of your blueberry scones because it's blueberries, but it's with cream cheese. And as I tell the people behind the counter always is, what Jewish guy is going to not like this scone with cream cheese? Because, cream cheese and bagel is such a standard, but this is the most delicious scone. So how did you get to that? That's really amazing.
Well, we've been doing it for over 20 years, and I don't like this, I don't like that, add this, add that. A lot of people have that recipe. We just adapted our personal texture profile, not too gummy, not too, dry, not too sweet, not too, it's a perfect balance of texture, a light texture, an airy light texture, almost like a muffin top, but it's a scone and there's more body to it. And I don't know what it is either, but yeah, it's people tell us that that's the best one on the island. And I'm like, well, I don't get to taste all the others.
Well, I do, and I agree with them. So
well,
let me ask you about this because what do you have in that? I know, but I want our audience to know what you have in the store because you don't have to always order from the grill itself. You can order actually in your store, and you have all sorts of yummy things from desserts to salads. But I want you to describe it.
Well, it's like a gourmet convenience prepared foods to go. We used to do products, but I totally want to do only stuff we make. So if you were going to the a picnic at the beach or you had a party at your house, you can come and get dips, appetizers, salads, soups, entrees, and dessert, all from us. Um, or one of all of that if you're cooking on your own, right? And now my niece has a new ice cream company called Sage Ice Cream. And so I'm thinking of and we also have the old Hawaiian leis from the farm. So I'm trying to revitalize the old Hawaiian leis, which is pikake, pakalana, ilima, pokenikeni, ginger, and the yellow plumeria. All these flowers that you can't get anymore because a lot of the flowers are coming already from imported from elsewhere. And these days are so rare and coveted that nobody wants to grow it because nobody wants to sow it. Um, and so I'm trying to bridge that gap right now, and it's it's starting. I'm now selling to Foodland everything I can't sell. So now you can come into my store and buy a lei. My auntie makes greeting cards. You can get cake and ice cream and even any of the food items. So it's like a celebration shop or a birthday one-stop shop birthday thing, right? Because you don't have to go to a lei shop or the cake shop or the food shop now. You come to our little market. And no, not many people know about the farm yet because I haven't really promoted it yet, but all the greens for the grill come from the farm, and fruits and all the leis. And we're trying to do added value, right? Added value, and sell it in my store. So little by little, people are catching on, and those are the leis I used to buy and pay for. Now it's so expensive. I'm like shocked when the farmers are bringing the leis. I'm like, what? Like 5 ilimas and 20 strands of pikake and 20 strands of pakalana and all this beautiful lei that I would buy to give away. So it's just kind of serendipitous, kind of like I'm
I'm
selling everything in my market.
I'm glad you told me that because I'm gonna. There was a hui at the YMCA that was there for many years. I'm gonna send this show to Caroline Nishi, who has been the director of that for many years, and now her daughter Robin. But because this is so exciting. And I did see the cards last time I was in there buying the blueberry scone. So I have two more questions for you. The first one is, do you make the blueberry scones several times a day? Because, for a while I was coming in, but if it was past about 6 o'clock, they were all gone. But now you can get them at different times of the day. So how does that work?
I decided to have it more through the day than just it was running out by 8, 9, 10 o'clock, 11, sometimes 12. And I'm like, what? you know? So I had to massage the bakers a little. And, there's only so much we can do. Yeah, we have a big, major shortage of employee and food service workers in Hawaii and all around right now. The whole country is suffering from that. I'm lucky because I have people who has been with me for 10, 20 years, and um, they just pump it out. Now, I think the last batch comes out at 12, 11:30 for the afternoon guys. But,
That's me.
yeah, and now we're making everything fresh. We used to be known as the cake Nazi because we get those customers that want this, and it's only an hour later they want writing and this and that. So we have all these rules. We were known as the cake Nazi because you cannot get this cake until this time of day when we know we got it. There's all these stipulations. But now I'm trying to remove all that because I don't want to be a cake Nazi. If you come to our store, our employees are so nice. Like I get so many compliments about how lucky I am to have. They can see in the grill they're working like mad, but they're nice. Or the cashier in the market is nice, and it's not fake. Although I told them, if you have a rotten attitude, don't come to work with it because I'm paying you to be nice. Okay. But they are sincerely nice.
You stole my last question because that's exactly what I was going to ask. When we have been there have been your employees who have been exceptionally nice, not just in the grill side, but in the store side. And my wife and I love talking story a bit, if they're not too busy. And they're so kind, and what makes me feel really great, they see me in my gray hair, they may call me uncle, and it's just really it's really nice. And the other thing, okay, so that how do you get such great employees? And I wanted to also ask you, as part of this, your clientele ranges from the surfer coming in after the waves to the governor of Hawaii, John Waihee, who I waited for after I was waiting after him, to a lot of middle class families in Hawaii. I mean, the standard person you think, if you're a parent in Kaimaki or Iolani or any place, Waipahu, you're going to come. And John Waihee is coming from Nuuanu, I know, and I'm coming from Manoa. So first question is, how do you hire such good employees and wonderful employees? And the second question is, how do you have such a broad clientele?
Well, to me, a lot of my staff are actually acquaintances and friends and people I've taught at school or um, longevity. But my philosophy in running my business is not much corporate, it's more family driven, family oriented. So we celebrate each other's birthday. I find the staff went out together without me. And not that I want to go, but it's just so satisfying to see them get along like a family. And then they help each other out more. And then the attitude is uplifted. And it's like a contagious thing. They bring food for the staff. One girl brings baked goods. We have a bakery. She brings baked goods every week, you know, and my staff brings fish or whatever for the staff. It's just so touching and pride, you know. But that's an intended philosophy of a family run operation. Where what I mean by that is we celebrate their birthday, we acknowledge them, we treat them with respect. We feed them every day. If you come work for me, you get free food. If you, I mean, well, if anybody wants to come work with us, but it's just. And as far as the customers, we get one every day or every month or every year. They keep coming back. So once you catch one, they become your regular and it repeats itself. And after 20 years, you get one guy who comes once a month, but that's still a lot of everyone combined. Or some people come every week. I'm like, oh, buy their lunch, because I feel bad that we're not cheap. We go for the gourmet, right? We're the most expensive plate lunch and cake and all that. But we do the quality. I mean, everything is made by scratch. I don't know if you know what that means, but it's no bottled anything. And it's an artisan thing.
Let me just disagree with you a little bit there. My wife and I, because our daughters are both gone now. I mean, they're very successful, but they're on the continent. I find your Diamond Head Grill to be right in the center of prices if you go out to eat, and stuff like that. It's no less expensive than Zippy's. In fact, Zippy's is probably more. And you're really you're a bargain because the quality of the food and the healthiness of the food is really quite substantial. But I want to leave you with the last word here, and I'm going to encourage you to, in your last words, what do you tell a young person at Waipahu High School that wants to go into the food industry? What do you tell that person? What advice do you give them? Or if they're at KCC, what do you tell them as such a successful businessman and successful person and kind person with your employees? What advice do you give them?
Well, you pretty much answered my question.
Mhm.
It's kindness. You live by aloha. You know, you have a good. It's not fear of God. It's we're Asian, so it's karma, bachi. We don't want bachi. We live by that. We respect each other in Hawaii. And even though somebody gets you down or betrays you, it doesn't mean the next guy is gonna, you know? Um, I want them to know that I came from Waipahu and my backyard was the sugarcane fields. And now I have 50 employees going on 60. You know, I have a lot of blessings and a lot of gratitude for where I am and where and how and who got me to where I am. And I don't forget it, you know? And you have to have faith and trust and confidence and follow your instinct. If you are on the path toward your hobby and passion, not even culinary, you should just keep working at it. Because I started from high school. I didn't go college in culinary school, and I knew I was going to do restaurant business. But I think that was to my benefit that I went business school, because I knew I learned marketing, management, accounting that the chefs that went to KCC didn't, or the culinary schools didn't, right? And I got to adjust to the changing of times and the marketability and all that. So I try to, it's hard to teach aloha, but if you're nice to somebody, they're going to be nice to you. Everything is connected here. It's who you know here. It's, believe it or not, if you don't believe that, I'm so sorry. But it really is. People remember if you were nice to them. People will remember that. They're going to help you in the future if you need to. Don't burn your bridges. That kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Not only does it make sense, but you're sort of echoing Maya Angelou, about kindness and being good to other people. So that's a nice way. Thank you, Kelvin, to end this show. And I also want to say that Keith Hayashi, who is the principal of your high school for many, many years, would be very proud of Kelvin Ro as a graduate, because he is now a superintendent of schools, is trying to do this for all kids in Hawaii.
I'm actually helping him with a fundraiser coming up next year. A big one. They want me to raise 500,000 for the school, and they want to honor me with something. But that means that I gotta produce that gala dinner, right? Which somebody new found out that that's what I do well, And so I'm like, okay, reluctantly, I'm going to go and help.
Obviously, you do many things well, and such a pleasure to have Sir, I'm going to knight you, Sir Kelvin Ro, here with us on Journeys of the Mind. This is Carl Ackerman, a hui ho, and thank you again, Sir Kelvin Ro.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much.